Hello my friends, today a day when I actually start assembling all this stuff together. So remind you, this is Tronxy X1 3D printer and finally I have time to put it together. So my idea is to start putting this stuff together component by component. For example, the controller module first assembled and I'm gonna power it up and see if it works, like printing base together assembled, like hot end together assembled, and so on and so forth. And then I put those modules together and I'll try to make sure they assembled properly. As you might expect, with such a cheap printer there is no any kind of user manual. I did not see what other people done in internet actually, so because there is no any sort of user manual, I will try kind of make a guideline for other people to how to assemble this thing efficiently. So for that, probably I have to kind of look at the stuff, think first, and then continue to do a video. But this is my idea here. There is no, I'm pretty sure there is a lot of video in internet already covering how to assemble this printer. Again, this is pretty popular thing. It's all over the internet and you can buy it anywhere, anytime, pretty much. And it's reviewed already by many people. I'm kind of behind here, but I want to do it my way. So my way is to try to put it together in modular way. So I will start putting this thing together by assembling the controller first, with like LCD, with buttons, power supply, and things like that. Okay, well, let's follow my journey together. Alright guys, I skipped a lot of preparation steps, but here we are. This is all necessary to assemble electronic part of the 3D printer. So what we have here, we have a main board or controller here. We have parts of the enclosure. So this is bottom, this is back, those are sides, this is front, this is top, and this is very bottom. So all this necessary to build up the unit. So also I have screws. Screws are necessary to actually fix all this together. So what I've done here, so this little bag came with all screws mixed together. It contains a bunch of M5 and M3 nuts and T-nuts. So I separated M5 nuts and T-nuts from M3 stuff, because this is you'll be using for building actually 3D printer mechanical parts, and this stuff you'll be using, or we will be using, to build enclosure, and whatever is left probably going to be used for mechanical part. These longer screws will be used to fixed parts of the units, just like that. And we'll be using like a little nut. We'll put it right here, and the screw gonna go through and screw in. So very simple construction, and that's why those screws are a bit longer. Anyways, so I separated those to have better access to them. Also, I will be using supplied screwdriver. I have a bunch of screwdrivers obviously, but I just wanted this to be as hands-on experience as anyone would have. This screwdriver, oh my god! Hilarious guys, I just noticed this screwdriver is crooked. Oh, I'll be using crooked. It's actually feature. It's angular screwdriver. Yeah, that's the feature. Anyways, I have also LCD panel. I have a ribbon connector from LCD to the main board. Here, further away, I prepared USB cable, motor cables, and a limited switches cable, power, and power supply. All this has to be attached a bit later. So let's start, and obviously I'll be accelerating because through the assembly procedure, because it's a lot of stuff to do and video will become quite boring, or even do some jump cuts. Okay, well, let's start. First of all, I would like to peel all this protection paper from all these details. Theoretically, you may leave outside, peel only outside and leave inside. It just doesn't matter. So for whatever reason they covered both sides, but for example here outside is already peeled off and inside is not, so it's just I don't really know what's actually inside with outside. It's probably symmetrical. Anyways, so let's start. I will prepare those plastic pieces, remove the paper protection from them. Alright, I've done the minimum necessary for this thing to actually look okay, because it's a super boring procedure to peel off this thing, especially over here. That was pain in the ass. So the most boring part of the assembly is to peeling off those plastic protection thing. This part I didn't even bother, because that's gonna be bottom, that's gonna be like inside. Many insides I just didn't bother, like this one, which is whatever, no one gonna see it, plus it's gonna be extra padded protection for scratches, if you ever think like that will occur. So let's start assembling this thing. Probably first thing I will do is to fix this one to here, to the base. I want to make sure there is a right orientation, so I do believe it's supposed to go like this, and this thing's supposed to go just like that. So okay, so here are holes, and the only thing which I don't see is any kind of standoffs in order to keep this thing off of the board, so I will come up with something of my own. So additionally, turned out to be I need these, which are supplied, or I may use this if I have. So actually going to be using what is supplied with the board. Okay, so let's start putting this thing together. So now we have to assemble a front panel with LCD to the side panels. So we're going to be using longer screws and attaching them just like that, as I mentioned before. I just find out that when I try to put the top panel over here, I noticed that part of this assembly is on the way, so it doesn't let me put the top flush. So, but I guess that's we have to live with, because there is no other way of doing this anyways. So now I have put all sides together except the bottom one, and now I would like to actually feed in the power cable through this hole. Alright, power cable is fed through, and now I have to plug this module, attach it to this guy over here. Okay, power will be screwed into those terminals, and one of them reads power, like this one. So this will be attached over here. Very important to make sure polarity is correct, obviously, otherwise you're gonna have big bang instead of working 3D printer. So let's try to screw it in. On here, over here, on this terminal, there is an indication of 12 volt and ground. So 12 volt is on this side and ground is on this side. So very important to connect red, for example, and also we need the other screwdrivers supplied with with 3D printer. So we're gonna just unscrew it a little bit and try to plug it in. So 12 volt goes in here. That's in order to make it work better to kind of twist it, then plug it in just like that and secure. Make sure it's not coming out when you secure it. Not really handy direction, by the way. Kinda don't like it. This side, twist it. Make sure it's unscrewed all the way. Plug it in. And secure. Okay, that's connected. Then we have a bunch of limiting switches. So limiting switches are necessary to make sure that your head is positioned, or printing hot end is positioned at the right location. So it's like to zero out the position of your 3D printer. So limiting switches are connected over here. There's a whole bunch of them. There is also a lot of cables which are for the motor. So here we are. We have 4 cables for some reason, which actually need only 3, but that's okay. And those cables are marked X, Y, and Z, and for some reason there are 2 Zs. So that means we either have spare cable or we can upgrade this thing with 2 Z. So, but we need only 3, X1, Z, sorry, X, Y, and Z, 1, for example. So they are going over here. So X motor, Y motor, and Z motor, and as you see here are 2 and one of them is shorted. So for example, let's connect X motor. Then we try connect Y motor. Then we connect Z1 motor over here. Kinda don't like this flex, it would be nice to have something here. Alright, so extruder or motor driver connectors are plugged in. This is really cool. So here we are connected. So essentially, in order to try to do something with this, we are ready. So we can drive motors with this guy. If you connect motors, we can actually to see if this thing is powering up, to figure out if our assembly is okay. Also, we have to figure out if our contraption here is completely operational, because what if this unit is completely defective? So before we continue any further, let's check if this unit is there. Alrighty, so what I've done, I powered this thing up. Connected power supply on the back of this unit, and here we are. Actually, we have some indication on the screen that 3D printer controller board is doing something. It's already showing the temperature is 0, obviously, because thermo sensor is not connected. But I'm not really sure how to operate, but I decided to grab one of the motors, in this case Z driver, and we can double check if our drivers are working here. So for this we try to, I don't know how to use this menu. It says printer ready. I want to find, how would I move position. Wow, it's really slow. Okay, let's go back. Let's find Z axis. And here we are. Z motor is working. It'll be working all the time, constantly. Because right now it tried to hit the Z limiting switch, which in order to actually stop, I should have connected Z limiting switch. Z stop. Is this one? And when I press this one, it will stop. Okay, so it went all the way kind of down and a little bit up. So if I say home again, it will rotate, 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 press this one. Okay. So essentially that driver operates, and this indicate I can actually run through all of X and Y as well, just to double check, but this indicates that our unit is perfectly operational and successfully built the electronic part or brain part of the 3D printer. The only thing is, when I'm not gonna put it all together because we still need to connect everything to the 3D printer itself. We may necessarily need to disassemble it again. So at this point, better to leave it like it is. But we know for sure that this part is successful. And let's continue to the next part of assembling 3D printer itself.